If y'all remember listening to the rant that I gave the other day, which if you watched and listened to it, I don't know how you could not have heard what I had to say. It was pretty loud and clear. I was saying how watch Hall T be next up on the list to get some kind of rights sent their way as far as anti-discrimination goes. And I don't know how people missed it because I and many others have heard this as a discussion be talked about for so long, for a while now, especially within the last couple of months under the current president that we have right now, before he was even president. But I was going through my timeline, and shout out to Nicole because she posted up this article. This is actually a thumbnail from what she posted on her page. And it says right there, reversing Trump, U.S. restores transgender health protections. That's a very loaded statement right there. And what I'm about to read to you is a very loaded article. And it was just posted today on May 10th, 2021. But let me go ahead and get into it. The federal government will protect gay and transgender people against sex discrimination in healthcare, the Biden administration declared Monday, reversing a Trump-era policy that narrowed rights at the intersection of changing social mores and sensitive medical decisions. Basically, what it's saying is if a person who wants to live their life as a Hall T individual and wants to get a sex change, they are allowed to do so. And if a person denies them the right of doing that, even if it's outside of their medical scope, then they can sue them for discrimination under the guise of not wanting to perform the medical procedure on them. Even if the person is, one, not allowed to do it, and two, cannot do it. If they can't do it, then it's pretty much on them to find someone for them who can. And you cannot deny them and say that you can't do either of those things, or they're going to slap pretty much a discrimination suit against you, and they'll be allowed to do so. And there's probably some more stuff in there as well, and hopefully this article will go into detail about what else is contained. It marked the latest step by President Joe Biden, Mr. Creepy Touchy Jim Crow Joe, to advance the rights of gay and transgender people across society, from military service to housing to employment opportunities. The policy announcement by the Department of Health and Human Services affirms that federal laws forbidding sex discrimination in healthcare also protect gay and transgender people. The Trump administration had defined sex to mean gender assigned at birth, thereby excluding transgender people from the law's umbrella of protection. So basically, instead of having them all lumped up or lumped in with everybody's, I guess you could say, medical health benefit, they're basically now creating a whole separate sector just for them. You have us, them versus everybody else is basically what it is. So they're like getting a whole nother type of health benefit that we don't have access to, and their health benefit could be something elite, even on top of them getting, the gender reassignment surgery. Because I think that's like the foundation of it, but I think it's way more to it than that. Fear of discrimination can lead individuals to forego care, which can have serious negative health consequences, said HHS Secretary Xavier Becerra. Everyone, including the Academy, should be able to access health care free from discrimination or interference, period. Both opponents in support. Well, what about the people that are not a part of the Academy that don't get the proper health care? Because, for years, Black people were some of the biggest group, in a way still are, of those who get refused medical services. Because, we were able to withstand pain and, just deal with it. Go home and just drink some Robitussin and hope you feel better. Where's our protection under the medical bill? But see, yet again, we are now again being further and further and further and further pushed down into that box. Like I said, I ranted about this the other day, and look at what comes out today. And the thing is not like I foresaw it, because it's like I knew what direction it was heading. It's so obvious. Like I said, you do enough of these videos over the years, you start to see things. It's almost like you're a damn fortune teller or a psychic. Both opponents and supporters of Biden's action said it's likely to lead to litigation. The American Medical Association said in a statement that the Biden administration did the right thing by ending a dismal chapter which a federal agency sought to remove civil rights protections. But some conservatives warn that doctors could be forced to perform gender reassignment procedures against their professional judgment. And I just said that. So basically what they're saying is, yes, they could probably perform this procedure, but if they feel that this person should not get this procedure done because it could hurt them health wise, then they shouldn't have to. But because they're about to implement this, even if it goes against that person's health to keep them alive, or maybe not have them face complications down the line from this surgical procedure, then they still have to do it. Remember what happened with and she doesn't qualify really for this conversation, but she qualifies because of the surgery. Remember what happened with Kanye West's mother, Donda West. They told her, they was like, man, we don't think you should get this procedure because this could kill you. She went against the doctor's judgment, and what happened? She ended up dying. That thing right there on the table, if I'm not mistaken. They told her, we don't think it's good for you because your something, I think it was her heart or something like that, could not take that procedure. And she did it anyway, and she died. That's what they're worried about. It's not the fact that these doctors don't want to perform this. It's that they are trying to look out for the health of the people that's trying to get it. And if they cannot withstand that and they could die, then why would they do it? And the thing is, if a person decides they want to go against their health and get it, that or what this bill, what they're implementing and giving them health protections is saying that even if it goes against them a living, you still cannot tell them as a doctor who is a licensed profession and get paid six figures to the millions of dollars to perform these procedures every single year. You have no right to tell them that they can, face complications behind this or worse. Just perform the procedure and be done with it. Whether they live or die is on them, but you still got to perform the procedure because we're giving them protection. That's really what it's saying. That's really what it's boiling down to. And I don't know about you because I'm not a doctor, but I don't know if I could be in the shoes of a person who's a medical profession and tell a person, look, I don't think that this is going to be good for your health, and you still get it anyway, and then you die, or anything of negative impact could happen to you, because then it's like, wow, this person's life is in my hands, and what could end up happening? Then they can come back and say, oh, they performed the procedure wrong. I'm going to sue you and your practice for malpractice. Get ready, because I have a feeling that is going to happen. I have a feeling that's what's going to happen. But Sarah said HHS will now be aligned with a landmark 6-3 Supreme Court decision last year in a workplace discrimination case, which established that federal laws against sex discrimination on the job also protect gay and transgender people. In a tweet at the time, then President Donald Trump called the decision horribly and politically charged. Undeterred by the ruling, his administration proceeded to try to narrow the protections against discrimination in healthcare. But Biden early on in his term directed government agencies to apply the Supreme Court's reasoning to areas under their jurisdiction. Monday's actions means that the HHS Office for Civil Rights will again investigate complaints of sex discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. Hospitals, clinics, and other medical providers can face denial of Medicare and Medicaid payments for violation of the law. Wow. Did you hear that? Let me read that last part. Hospitals, clinics, and other medical providers can face denial of Medicare and Medicaid payments for violation of the law. So if they decide that they're going to go against this, even against their better judgment, like I just kind of went into a little bit before I read this last passage, they can strip them of certain things that will keep their practice going. I'm telling you, like I said, it's here. It's here. It's gone are the days where I say it's coming. The day of me saying that it's here, is right now. Since the Trump transgender rule had been blocked by a federal judge, the Biden administration action essentially restores a policy established during Obama years. The Affordable Care Act prohibited sex discrimination in healthcare but did not use the term gender identity. The Obama administration interpreted the law as shielding gay and transgender people as well. Conservative lawyer Roger Severino, who as a former HHS official oversaw the drafting of the Trump rules, said the Biden administration cut corners in issuing its new policy. This inflaming the culture wars, especially when you are trying to circumvent the process, said Severino, now at the Ethics and Public Policy Center think tank. Partly because of conflicting lower court rulings on the Trump and Obama policies, Becerra should have undertaken a formal rulemaking which can take months. I expect lawsuits, Severino added. But civil rights advocates said the Supreme Court's ruling on transgender protections essentially wiped the slate clean for Biden. The Supreme Court has already laid out the reasoning that applies under all sex discrimination laws, said Omar Gonzalez Pagan, a lawyer for the Lambda Legal Defense Fund. They did so in an employment case, but their reasoning applies equally in healthcare, in education, and in housing. In recent years, the understanding of sex has broadened to acknowledge a person's inner sense of being male, female, neither, or a combination. Now, see, listen to that. Acknowledge a person's inner sense, basically how they feel. Behind the dispute over rights for transgender people is medically recognized condition called gender dysphoria, discomfort or distress caused by a discrepancy between the gender that a person identifies as and the gender assigned at birth. Consequences can include severe depression. Treatment can range from gender confirmation surgery and hormones to people changing their outward appearance by adopting a different hairstyle or clothing. Under the Obama-era rule, a hospital could be required to perform gender transition procedures such as hysterectomies if the facility provided that kind of treatment for other medical conditions. The Academy groups say explicit protections are needed for people seeking gender transition treatment and even for transgender people who need care for illnesses such as diabetes or heart problems. Basically something that everybody deals with. Well, those who can get it. Like, who out here can't get diabetes or can't have heart problems? You don't want those, but who can't get them? But they're trying to make it seem like it's exclusive to them with that part. More than 1.5 million Americans identify as transgender, according to the William Institute, a think tank for the Academy policy at the UCLA School of Law. A bigger number, 4.5% of the population, identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender, according to Gallup. Now, they said a bigger number, 4.5%, which rounds out to 1.5 million, and they said that was a large number. Really think about that for a second. They consider 4.5% of the population who identify as those in that group as large. That's large to them. Like, really take that and put that into perspective, that they think 4.5% is a large number. If hypothetically saying black people make up quote unquote 13% of the population, which we know we don't, and we're considered to be a minority, which we are not, but then how is it that 4.5% is a big number? HHS is a traditional battleground for conflicts over social issues. During the Trump administration, the department bent to the will of conservatives. Other Trump policies applauded by the right restricted abortion referrals and broadened employers' ability to opt out of providing birth control to women workers covered by their health plans. Under Biden, the policy pendulum has been swinging back in the opposite direction. One of the Biden's first steps after taking office was a January 20th executive order on combating discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation. I had said under Nicole's post and said he's only doing what he claimed what he was going to do. I feel like we are some of the few who heard the Jaws music before the shark appeared. That's what I tweeted in response to her posting this article on her page. It's like we knew it was coming and we saw it coming and we went the opposite way, but you had people who heard the music and continued to go in the direction of Jaws, the shark, to get swallowed and, eaten into little tiny pieces. And he's still munching on them pieces to this day. Biden quickly followed that up with another order reversing a Trump-era Pentagon policy that largely barred transgender individuals from serving in the military. And earlier this spring, the Department of Housing and Urban Development withdrew a Trump policy that would have allowed taxpayer-funded homeless shelters to deny access to transgender people. Let me read that again. In earlier this spring, which could fall between March and early April, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, known as HUD, withdrew a Trump policy that would have allowed taxpayer-funded homeless shelters to deny access to transgender people. So that means now the taxpayers are about to really start paying more for these gender reassignment surgeries. Honestly, I think we already were, but now we're really about to pay for it. At HHS, Biden's term has seen the Senate confirmation of Dr. Rachel Levine to be Assistant Secretary for Health, a senior position that involves oversight of public health initiatives, HIV/AIDS, women's health, and minority health, as well as other areas including research protections. Levine, formerly Pennsylvania's top health official, is the first openly transgender person to be confirmed by the Senate. Oh, that person. I forgot about that person, honestly. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen, to those of you who are listening right now. I think I pretty much laid out what I had to say in between the text in which I just read. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments, and I will talk to you in the next one.